Bienvenidos de nuevo a Lado B. ¿Cómo estamos? Yo estoy practicando mi locución futbolera.
Te sale cada vez mejor, Fede, ¿eh?
Me gusta mucho la locución tipo de boxeo.
Sí, y medio actor de doblaje también. Estás ahí en el borde medio neutro.
Me contaminó la TV. La TV me crió.
Sí. Como cuando chicos, viste, que de repente hablas de tú como mexicano.
Exactamente. Yo crecí de la mano de Isaac. Así como que me llegó y me dijo, cine berreta, perfecto.
Oh, sí, perfecto. Aquí en la Ekoparty. Estamos divirtiéndonos.
Y acá estamos con nuestro invitado Tom NomNom. Así que vamos a switchar al inglés y vamos a estar hablando con alguien que crea herramientas en seguridad. Yo lo veo, lo siento. I know that you're not understanding shit that we're talking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't worry, it's going to get worse.
Okay.
So, Tom, thank you for coming to Ekoparty. Thank you for coming to Side B podcast. The idea of this talk is, well, what's your first impression of Buenos Aires?
It's awesome, man. The city's beautiful. The people are warm. The food is good. I'm really liking it.
First time.
Yeah, first time.
When did you arrive?
I got here yesterday morning
Okay.
after a very long trip. I think it was 27 hours.
27? Did you come by swimming?
No, I thought about it. It was planes, trains, and automobiles.
Okay, fair enough. Did you come directly from London, or did you have to do a switch over?
I had to switch. I got train to London, London to Sao Paulo, Sao Paulo to here.
Well, thank you for the effort. I know it's fucking far, but we're definitely happy to have you here. You just gave your lecture about being a toolmaker. For the ones who don't know Tom. Tom is the author of Asset Finder, HTTP Proof, ANU, which I use it a lot, which are tools for for anything, but it is quite popular in the back bounty scene because they help you find soft spots in big areas, in a way.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair characterization. I think my tools started out being for bug bounty, and then some of them were useful enough to use for other things as well. Move this way?
Yeah.
Not better? I think I hear from people who do not do bug bounty but still use some of my tools, like ANU, like you mentioned.
Well, if we have to go on the specifics, I think back bounty has a more real approach for attackers. Like, you're always looking for what is changing. So definitely pen testing has shifted into a more of a back bounty methodology. For example, in our company, we use a lot of Tom tools because you want to be aware of what is changing in a company, and most of the back bounty folks do that kind of approach. So definitely, what drives you to make tools?
For me, it was always about having problems that I was trying to solve and not having an existing tool that did what I needed. So I think when I first started bug bounty, there weren't really any bug bounty tools. There was pen tester tools, and they were great for looking at like one target or 5 targets. I was like, there are hundreds and thousands of targets to look at, and the tools that exist don't let me do that very well. So that was the problem I was trying to solve at that time, and that's what kind of got me started in the bug bounty tooling space. But they all start that way. It's like, I'm trying to do something and it's annoying, so I'm gonna make it slightly better.
And why open source?
For me, I think a lot of that is about a lot of the tools I use are open source. My operating system's open source, my editor's open source, and if those people hadn't released their tools, I would not be where I am today. So I want to do partly the same thing, but also when I say it's about having a problem to solve, when you let other people use your tools, they have their own problems, and you can solve those too. You have more problems to solve, there's more to learn, and you just achieve more in general.
That's awesome. How grew in popularity the use of your tools? Because something that it was also important in that scene is that many of your tools become, I don't want to sound it bad, but trendy, because everyone they were using it because the pain was real and the problem was there, and you came like fixing those approaches. How was that change of like thousands of people starting using your tools and seeing it evolve from your outer perspective?
It was certainly felt a bit surreal to see so many people using them, because early on I just thought I wasn't doing anything special. And I think because of the style of tools I write are very small and focused, they never feel special by themselves. But they all solve specific problems that people encounter regularly. But because they're small, they're easy to learn as well. If you only do one thing, it's really easy to go, oh, I download this and now I use it and it's fine. Whereas if you take a more complicated tool, for example, like there is an investment there where you think, I often use Burp Suite as an example here, which I feel that Burp Suite is fantastic. It takes time to learn.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to invest that time. And if you have one small problem right now that you need to solve, the idea of going off and learning a big complicated tool, I think is too much for some people.
And there is a peculiarity in your tools, which is it's not a Swiss Army knife, it's a specific tool for a specific problem.
Yeah.
We were talking off camera on when these tools become popular, people start adding or wanting to add features that might not be the core of the solution or might be in the sidelines. How you deal with that mutation of need, or just building stuff for precise uses?
I think part of it's education. So on a few occasions I've had people say, I really need it to do this thing as well. And the response isn't just no, it's I don't think it does, because here's another way you can do that actually really easily. So like I might have someone say, oh, I need to be able to have it add this HTTP header to the requests, when it only really includes an HTTP client as like a convenience. And the answer is, well, actually, no, you can use curl and you can pipe it into the instead. And that will give you much more flexibility. And it means that I'm not re-implementing curl, because there are always going to be edge cases that other people have that I haven't accounted for. And to me, I think that's the real, the beauty of the small focused tools, is it becomes much easier to cover everybody's use case by covering nobody's use case. You leave that to somebody else.
Unique philosophy at work.
Yeah, exactly.
So Tom, how did you start in cybersecurity, and how did you end up developing tools?
I kind of was always interested in hacking, I think. So like when I was at school, I would read about DEF CON, when it was like DEF CON 4 or 5 or something like that, and was like, wow, that sounds so cool. And like, the movie Hackers and all that kind of hacking was cool.
Did you see the background over there with the telephones?
It's awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I was always attracted to it in that way, but because I was always obsessed with computers. But I ended up going down the path of being a software engineer, and then the company I worked for launched a bug bounty program, and unusually they let staff take part. They're like, as long as you didn't write the thing you're submitting bugs against, that's fine. All right. And I was a software engineer, so when I was trying to do bug bounty related things and I didn't know how to do it, I wrote a tool for it, because that's just the way my mind worked. It made sense, because in software engineering that was always the way that I did things. I can't do this thing, it's difficult, it's a manual task, I will write code that does it for me instead. So that was just already a built-in way for me to approach things. And then I ended up somehow did really well on that one bug bounty program, didn't know about any others, and then got invited to a live hacking event because I'd done really well on that one program, and then like, met everybody and learned about the community and saw other people's tools and how other people were doing things, and that really broadened my horizons. The community has always been fantastic.
Is it interesting how specific this is? And here there are a lot of teenagers that are giving their first steps in this huge world of cybersecurity. What would you recommend to them?
I think my advice to young people getting into it is to not compare themselves to others too much. Focus on enjoyment and learning and your own satisfaction, because there are a handful of people out there who are just incredibly good, and they have been doing this for 10, 20 years, and they are the most visible people. It's very easy to feel like you're a failure because you are not getting anywhere close to the level that they are at. So don't do that. Compare yourself only to yourself yesterday.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. Don't worry about, if you're not enjoying something, stop doing it.
I think a common theme that you see here is that everyone is trying to do something, so it's maybe if it's your first Ekoparty, you might feel a little bit left out or overwhelmed or lost, and as he said, like comparing yourself to what other people are doing might be tricky. How do you feel when you went to the live hacking event? Because it's always interesting to see like-minded people in the same place doing things that might surprise you, teach you.
It was definitely overwhelming because I hadn't really interacted with anyone else doing Bug Bounty before that, so I had no idea. Like, I had downloaded Burp Suite, but I didn't ever manage to use it, so I wrote my own things. And it was really interesting to see people who could really use it and the things that they could do that my tools couldn't do. Like the first time I saw someone use Intruder, for example, I was, wow.
Blown away.
Yeah, that was, after that I took the time to invest and learn the complicated tool.
To be fair, let's say that the Portuguese folks have not made Intruder the most user-friendly.
What is a pitchfork?
What is a pitchfork? A cluster bomb.
Yeah.
It's a tool for web security, which that is definitely not on the user-friendly side.
Yeah.
It's a great tool, by the way.
Yeah, and it's a balancing act. To be fair to them, they started with something small and named things, and then once you've named something, you want to keep it the same.
Yeah.
Because your core users know what it's called. So you have now a choice. Do I rename it to be more user-friendly and upset the people who are already using things, or do I keep it the same and potentially make it more intimidating to newcomers? It's a difficult choice, and I can't say that they did it wrong. And I have had that too as well. Some of my tools do not have descriptive names. Like, what does Meg do exactly? No idea. From the name.
Are you still developing? Are you more focusing other areas now? What's up with the Tom NomNom of these days?
So I've been trying to take it easy a little bit. I kind of got a bit burnt out from all the pull requests and trying to respond to things and keeping on top of things. And I felt guilty when I didn't do that. I've been trying to be a bit nicer to myself. I've been looking to find an employer who encourages my participation in open source. So earlier this year, or late last year, I released an open source tool called JSluice through work. And that was really nice. But a little bit of extra pressure because I'm not only representing myself, I'm also representing my employer. But still, that has been really fantastic because I got to work on something and then share it with the world publicly, and other people can make use of it. And already, like, someone integrated it into their tool, and now we use that tool. So that was something we didn't have to build because they did it for us.
Definitely, it's an intense area, and we were talking with Stock and Jonah about, when you do something that becomes popular and you want to do another release, you have also some expectations that, oh, it should be cool, it should be good, and maybe it's not. How you deal with that process of creation? Do you share it in a small group? You don't care, you just go public?
I think if it's for work, I have to get it approved. But
of course,
for personal, I have a couple of approaches. I will either just do it, and do the nice thing of push to main. But then you cut releases when you are happy with it. So the people who are downloading the binary version, like they get something a little bit more polished. People who are running on main, mostly they end up being sort of beta testers for you. For new things though, I have this repo on GitHub called my hacks repo. And if something's like unfinished or not polished, or I might only use it once, or I'm not sure about it, I just put it in there. And that really lowers the barrier for entry to publishing things. Because I think if you worry too much about whether something's polished or finished or what people are going to think of it, you just won't do it.
And I'm a fan of this work in progress sort of approach. Like, this is not the finished product, but this is a concept, an idea. How I would solve this use case, this scenario. But yeah, I'm a big fan of open source. I agree with Tom about this is what brought me into security. I could not afford expensive tools, but definitely I need to leave that industry with more tools than the ones that I got introduced to, right? And less problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the really great thing about publishing unfinished things is sometimes people finish them for you.
In the interaction you get the solutions too.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just you release something and someone says that is bad, I can do it better. Great, you do it for me, you do a better job, and then I will use your tool.
That's great. Well, makers love open source, and well, your work here is done. You did your talk. So did you see something in the schedule that got your attention?
The pressure.
So my friends Stock and do I have talks I want to see. I'm going to spend some more time looking around here. I've seen some lock picking stuff going on. I'm really interested in physical security, but it's not what I'm good at. So I want to go and learn some things from them.
I love breaking doors over there.
There's some
great.
I spotted some retro computer stuff over there as well. That all looks really cool. I want to go and have a good look at that.
The Informatic Museum of Argentina. El Museo de la Informática.
The museum, they have a bunch of things. They have a Counter-Strike cyber coffee set up, so if you're willing to play CS 1.6, which is a vintage by now.
I would not do well.
Me neither.
I'm not good at
but
games.
I definitely will try.
I tried to get good at Counter-Strike back in the day, but my experience was join server, get headshotted, go back to the start.
Well, you just explained most of the scene right there.
It's like hacking. You do you try and fail and try again, and then you get you shoot in the head to the
exactly.
other.
No shooting in the head on hacking.
No.
So Tom, thank you for joining us and giving us a little bit of insight on what happens on your end. Thank you for coming to Ekoparty. This is only half day, almost the end of day one. There are still 2 full days full of hacking. Thank you for joining in. Enjoy the con, have some mate, and have your beer afterwards.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Tom.
Y acá estábamos nada más y nada menos con Tom NomNom hablando un poquito sobre open source, hablando sobre qué lo lleva a hacer herramientas, cómo llegó hasta acá. Él va a estar acá en Ekoparty, ya dio su charla de Confessions of a Toolmaker. No te vayas a ningún lado, que se viene más Lado B.
Nos vamos a un corte y volvemos pronto.
What they said.